Welcome to your 2026 energy overview. We're going to be talking about all signs here. I'm going to be going over 5 major themes my spiritual team showed me for all of us here watching for 2026. So you're going to want to definitely grab your journal wherever you write down your intentions, the way that you keep track of your synchronicities and signs. Please grab that now because you're going to be getting so many messages. As always, I encourage you to listen to all 12 signs because you do have all 12 signs in your chart. So anything that resonates, please write it down. Give your future self that gift of hindsight by recording messages as they come through. Like I said, I will be doing the 5 themes. I will be putting timestamps as well, so you can come back as many times as you need. But 5 things, whoops, there goes my journal. There's a sign for you. 5 themes, and then we'll go into all 12 signs. And as always, I will have your bonus messages at the end. So make sure you're staying tuned to that. I will, of course, update these messages, but thank you to all of you who requested I go ahead and share this topic. I usually do an annual overview around October, November, the year before, and I find it so helpful because it kind of sets the tone for where you want to head. I know a lot of people like to wait till New Year's Eve to do resolutions, and that's fine, whatever your tradition is. I tend to update my current focus and things at least once a quarter, so I don't hold myself to anything that tightly, but I do think it's really important to get an overview, be thinking about things. If you're new here, you are so welcome. One of the things I like to always remind you is please keep these 3 areas of your life in mind as you listen to these messages, all 12 signs. 1, of course, are going to be your health and fitness. This could be, anything to do with mental health, physical health, emotional health, all of it. That's going to be one category, health and fitness. The second category is going to be career and finance. If you are retired, that means your legacy, your next phase, the things you're working on to leave behind. And then the third category, relationships, always a popular one. But we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about anybody you have one-on-one relationships to and relationships to things like to a project, a job, a location, right? So not just romantic. It can be parents, children, and other things. Relationships to groups, which we're going to be talking a lot about community. It's really fascinating, some of the messages that came up. So yesterday I sat down and I asked my spiritual team, if you don't know what your spiritual team is or who's on it, I have a video link below who's on your spiritual team. But this is your guardian angels, your passed away loved ones, ascended masters, archangels, many, many more, your higher self. I sat down with my spiritual team yesterday and I said, can you help me get an overview of 2026? And they immediately showed me the number 5. The number 5 flew into my third eye and I was like, interesting. So I sat down and we started working through it. I wrote them down. I'm going to go over my notes now. I will timestamp each theme so you can come back. And if you do want to come back and skip to another sign later, you're welcome to do that. Those will be timestamped too. But it is important you know these 5 themes for 2026 before we get into all signs, and that while you're listening to the 5 themes and all signs that you're thinking about those 3 areas: relationships, health and fitness, career and finance. If you're retired, that's legacy. Because our spiritual team is here to help us keep those things in balance. If we get too focused on career and finances, our relationships and our health suffer. If we get too focused on a relationship, our health and finances and legacy can suffer, right? So we want to have a balance there. So I'm really excited to get into these themes and all 12 signs. And I do want to also ask you a quick question. Would you like me to do a separate video on the numerology? So one quick thing to mention here is we are starting a new cycle in 2026. 2025, if you add up 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, nets to a 9. That is the end of the cycle in numerology. It's always 1 through 9. There's no 0. It goes right when you get to 9, you go back to 1, you net down to a single digit. So 2025 is the end of a cycle, the year 9. So we are moving into a year 1. Well, I also got some guidance from my spiritual team yesterday to do some research. And I went back all the way to 1970 and I looked to see what were the major events for every time we had a 9-year and then a 1 year. It was angel bumps all over the place. The similarities in the shifts, a lot having to do with technology, a lot having to do with major themes that are affecting the world. So if that's something you'd like me to do a bonus video on later, I didn't want to make, this video is already going to be so long that I didn't want to drag it out, but I would be happy to do a separate video. And I would encourage you as well, if you wanted me to put this in the video, I could show you how, to see when you've had a personal 1 year and a personal 9 year. I've done that as well. My background's in accounting. I got my degree in accounting and business administration, even though it's very different than what I do now. And so I grabbed my Excel sheet and I dropped all my numerology in there. So I know what age I was for every 9 year and 1 year and what happened. And it is fascinating. So that's another way you can apply this, is you can look to see when you had a 1 year and a 9 year, and then kind of apply that to the collective. So I wanted to ask if that's something you'd be interested in. The other thing to keep in mind is there's so many different modalities out there. And one of the big changes as well is in Chinese astrology. We are coming out of the year of the snake, which is 2025, and moving into the horse, the year of the horse. And I believe it's actually the fire horse. There are different ones. I am not as familiar with Chinese astrologers as others, so I encourage you to look that up if it interests you. But when you think back across 2025, it was a year of transformation, and that is undeniable, even though we are not even finished with this year. Plus, it's been a year of massive planetary transits, historical transits that we as a collective have never experienced. So all big changes at this 9 year we're wrapping up with 2025. You see what I'm saying? I mean, big things that are undeniable. So I'd be happy to talk more about that in another video as well. Just let me know below. But I wanted to encourage you to think about it. And I want to give you a little bonus homework for after you're done jotting down any messages you get in your journal. I want you to think about your top 10 accomplishments of this year. Now, it does not have to be huge accomplishments. And I want you to think back of all the things you've done this year. That can be really beneficial. An added note is to think about how you felt when you completed those things. Or were there things that you wanted to complete and they didn't get done, and why? These are all things that are going to play into this 2026 energy. All right. Well, thank you so much for your patience there. I'm ready to get right in to the 5 major themes of 2026 energy. The first message that came through for the themes of 2026 was working really hard on your intuition and spiritual growth. This is key. If you're new here, you may not know this. You are a light worker. You were born with natural born intuitive gifts. You have these and you're able to hone them. You don't have to call yourself a light worker, but you have the ability to use telepathy. You have the ability to learn things about how you use your intuition. So the main theme here was to make sure we are working hard to advance our intuitive abilities, advance your spiritual growth by working on your telepathy, going into shadow work. If you're not familiar with that, that's another topic for another time, but that's looking at the side of yourself that's hard to look at is actually where you can get the most spiritual growth. And then, of course, learning everything you can about yourself and the wisdom behind the energy in your makeup. This could be studying your astrology chart, your human design chart, learning energy healing, learning a different modality, different esoteric practices, healing remedies, herbal remedies. And of course, you know, like my big passion, astrology and numerology combined with intuitive messages. That's one of the things too, if you've been with me a while, you know, I do not read the cards literally. When we get into all 12 signs, I read intuitively, but they do sometimes serve as a framework, and I'm pulling in all these different modalities, including the numerology and the astrology. So it's a really fun way to get the big picture. And I'm going to invite you to start with your own charts, right? Start within, do that work to understand yourself, and it can bring so much clarity. So again, to wrap up theme number 1, it's all about advancing your intuitive and spiritual growth. Okay, you can do this. People, if you want to practice telepathy, I've got a bunch of telepathy tests right here on this channel. You can practice your telepathy. But you want to think about, like, every time you hear your phone ring, unless it's like a designated ring for your spouse or your children, try to guess who it is. Or even if you know who it is, What are they calling about? See if you can figure that out before you read that text, check that email, check in, just start practicing it now. So that's a huge theme for 2026. The second major theme for 2026 is for those of you who have already been working on these things, or if you've been thinking about it, which is most of you here, you are going to get recognition for all this hard work. You've already been listening to your spiritual team, your angels, checking in with the energy, listening to different messages, and you will see the energetic consequences for yourself and for others, but you will have the knowledge and understanding to move through this energy and achieve major spiritual growth. So in other words, all you light workers out there that have been in the spiritual closet, you are going to be called upon in a bigger way than ever. You are going to be recognized for it. And this doesn't necessarily mean you're hanging a shingle or you're getting out on social media and talking about it, but you are actually owning your spiritual gifts. And so that's the next big theme for 2026, is really getting the recognition you deserve for the spiritual growth, for the journey you've been on, even if it's an entirely quiet journey. Maybe you're somebody that you quietly read self-help books and growth books and learning about different modalities. You do it all on the down low. Nobody knows you're doing all this work. That is completely okay, because the recognition of your own spiritual gifts within yourself is key too. So if you're new here and you haven't recognized that you have divine gifts, now is the time. That second theme is you recognizing your own gifts, that you are a co-creator and you have the ability to use these gifts to help others, to help raise the vibration of the planet. And you're totally allowed to do that anonymously. You do not have to get out there in a big way, but I am inviting you to recognize that, okay? All right, so I love that for theme number 2. For all you light workers out there, let me know what you're doing. Number 3, the number 3 major theme for 2026. We will see many get lost in nostalgia, and they will choose to stay on an uncomfortable path because of this nostalgia. Their ego will be holding tight to how they feel things should be. Have you ever heard somebody talk a lot about how you should be doing something? Watch out for those shoulds. There's going to be a lot of people saying that's not how it should be. And so instead of embracing the change and finding peace and tranquility, they are going to take a path that is bringing a lot of chaotic emotion. So you're here because you're going to rise above that. You are not going to allow them to bring you into, I wish it was the way it used to be, because it's not going back that way. We can't unlearn AI. AI is not going anywhere. We can't unsee things we've seen in the media and seen things, people's choices that they're making that are not high vibration. But these people that are getting caught in this nostalgia, they're going to be the ones that are suffering because they're holding on to something that just can't be created again. It's in the past. So watch out for nostalgia this year, but I'm not worried about you. You're here listening to this. It's more about watch out for those around you who might want to pull you into that chaotic energy of this is not how it should be. Right? We want to be careful of people telling us what should happen, what should be, the way it should look, right? We want to let go of that. Of course, we're always going to go higher with our focus, but that is the number 3 theme, is we are going to see a lot of people holding on so tightly to the way things should be due to nostalgia. And one of the risks with nostalgia is that we're remembering it incorrectly. I talked about this last week on my video that the scientists say, or it's known in the collective, that if women truly remembered the pain of childbirth, they would have one child and that would be it. And we'd have a really hard time, populating the world. But luckily we forget because of the joy of giving birth and having a child. So we forget. So we do it again, right? And this is the thing though. You're not remembering everything as it really was. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying those who are getting really stuck in how things should be. Another little anecdote that I always think about is my grandfather would always tell my dad, who passed it on to me, that you can't stop progress, right? So if you've ever been involved or known people who lived in a cute little small town, and then it grew and grew and grew, and the growing pains that you would see as a small town grew into a metropolis and then bigger and bigger, and people would complain, and so I wish it was the old way, I wish these new stores and these new people weren't here, but you can't stop it. And so you're better off trying to navigate it in a way that protects your energy. So that's a tip I'll bring up a lot, is really protecting your energy, but watch out for that nostalgia. And I will say for myself, even personally, the nostalgia comes about very abruptly for me sometimes, because we all have phones and devices that populate with old photos. So even the other night, I had photos from 2015, 2006 popping up and flashing across my screensaver, and I was kind of lost in thought, and I looked at it and I had this feeling of nostalgia wash over me, and I missed that time when my kids were so little and cute, and these family members were still with us, and I started getting all caught up in it, and that's okay. That's completely okay. But I did have to ask myself, is this going to turn into something that then leads to sadness or resistance or wishing things were a way they can't be anymore? So just watch out for those things. It's totally okay to recall the past and have love for those things. Just be careful that it's not turning into, I want it to go back to that way. So we simply cannot do that. All right, number 4, major theme for 2026, which by the way, I usually do 3, I think. And they said 5. So here we go. Spiritual team said 5. So the number 4 major theme for 2026 that I saw was when you come out on the other side of these tests. So these tests of your intuition, these tests of those around you pulling you into chaos, you're going to find the sun shining and the messages you've been waiting for. It's that aha moment where you get to the other end of something challenging and you get that sigh of relief and you get to bask in the sun. You yourself will be sharing your story, maybe in small ways with neighbors, grandchildren, or maybe you're doing it in a bigger way. Maybe you're going to be starting a podcast, writing a book, or something else. It's important to share your story of where you've come from, what you've been through. We, meaning you and I, those here tapping in with our spiritual team and getting these messages, we must be the ones to prevail with knowledge of the light and love. So this is huge. You are being activated as a light worker. Right now, you are being called upon to speak about your spiritual journey to your loved ones, to those around you. Put it in a book. You don't have to publish it, but write it down. These are things that we are being asked to do by the greater collective, spiritually, our higher selves, the bigger spiritual beings out there working with us. Please share your story of going through things, right? It doesn't have to be the dark night of the soul, but for many of us, we have been through those, or it can be just a big challenge that you prevailed. So many people need to hear your story. So the number 4 theme is please share your story of overcoming, of finding your spiritual path. What brought you to this video today? Why do you tune in to your angels and your spiritual team? Something caused you to do that. So your story of your awakening, sharing knowledge, if you're an astrologer, a numerologist, a human design expert, all the different modalities, energy healer, share your knowledge, share your gifts. It can mean writing it down in a journal for future generations, but please, please, please share this information. You know, there's many of us out here doing this right now on YouTube, on podcasts, but we can only do so much. And we need your help. I just had a vision from Star Wars. Leah, help me on Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope, right? That's what I'm feeling. You guys, we got to get together. We've got to build this community, okay? And you're being activated, all right? This is your sign. You are a light worker. You are being activated. All right. So now moving on to the 5th major theme for 2026. And when we dive into all 12 signs and we do your messages, these themes, I'll bring them back in as necessary, but this is kind of, think of this as big umbrella for the whole year. However, I do feel there's going to be kind of a push and then a retreat and then another push again at the end of the year, which is kind of what we saw last year in reverse. We saw a pull like at the beginning of when I say last year, I mean this year, 2025, everything was in retrograde. So there wasn't a push. It was like everything was just stagnant. And then there was a push kind of in the middle of the year. And now it feels like things are retreating again. I feel like for 2026, it's going to be different. It's going to be more of a push, push, push. Then there's going to be a little bit of a retreat, probably around when Pluto goes retrograde again. That tends to be when I feel it a lot, which is usually June. And then then there will be another push at the end of the year. So your number 5 theme for 2026 is a little bit of a heads up. There will be some dramatic attempts. I'm not going to name names, but there's going to be some dramatic attempts to shape the information and perception of our world. You will know what is true and what is not by listening to your gut. That's why the number 1 theme is honing our intuitive abilities right now at the time you're hearing these messages. So I really want you to work on honing your telepathy, honing your intuitive abilities, checking with your gut every time you see a piece of information, you hear something. When things get too loud, go within, do your studies, practice your spiritual gifts, protect your energy. And of course, it's always a great idea to find your community, people who you can talk to about these kinds of things, which is a great opportunity for me to invite you to my community, Coffee with Devin, link below, where there's other light workers just like you, like-minded. We get together once a month to talk about all these things. But you'll know where you're meant to go. You'll feel the pull. So if you've been thinking about finding your own spiritual community or even starting your own community, this is your call to action, right? Your CTA for 2026 is to hone those intuitive abilities and find your community where you can practice, where you can feel safe. It was the best thing ever for me to join a community when I created Coffee with Devin, when I started meeting other light workers where we could practice with each other. I could do readings for them. They could do readings for me. So find your community. It's going to be so, so powerful starting now and all the way through 2026. All right, well, that was an amazing start for 2026. I feel like lots of information there. Let me go ahead and get started with the all signs reading. Remember, listen to all 12 signs. If you get angel bumps on a sign where you have no planets, that message is still for you. So grab that journal, write down what's resonating. I always remind you that hindsight is one of the most powerful gifts for deepening your intuitive abilities and your connection with your spiritual team, because our mind will try to talk us out of it. Oh, we didn't really see 30 synchronicities on one day. Yes, you did. You wrote it in your journal and now you have that evidence. All right. So we're going to go into all 12 signs again. At the end, I will do bonus messages. If you want to know a little bit more about who's on your spiritual team, there's a link to that tutorial below. If you want to know why you have all 12 signs in your chart, how to pull your birth chart for free and understand what houses your signs are in, check out that free tutorial below as well, which comes with a free PDF download. All right, well, let's get started into all 12 signs. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. Leave a comment below about how this is resonating or what you're planning for 2026. I read every single comment and it really helps my channel grow and this video reach other people. And I'm really excited to see what we're getting for all 12 signs. So I'm going to switch over here to my overhead camera and get you guys, get Aries popped up on the sign here. We're going to be using 5 cards if you join my Wednesday lives at 11 a.m. Central, which this is being released on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central because I have a lot of appointments and commitments this week that I just couldn't make the live work. So I'm pre-recording this so I can post it on at that time. But when I do those lives, I usually pull 3 cards for each of the sign, but since they gave me 5 themes, they also showed me 5 cards per sign. All right, so grab that journal, make sure you're ready to write down anything that resonates, no matter the sign. All right, first we're going to pull all cards at the same time and then we'll pull them together. Aries, your first card is the 3 of Air, great sadness, take time to heal, the need to forgive yourself or others. Just a reminder, I read intuitively, not literally. We have you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working. We have Queen of Fire. Oh, I didn't put, let me start that again, you guys. I said I was going to put up Aries and then I didn't put up Aries. All right, let's take off that. And then we'll start again for Aries. Sorry, Aries. All right, Aries, here we go. First card is 3 of Air. Great sadness. Take time to heal. The need to forgive yourself or others. Then we have you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working. We're going to pull all these together. And of course, I don't read literally. We have Queen of Fire. Intelligent, exuberant, determined. Wow, that's exciting for you guys. We have stay true to yourself. Don't compromise or water down your ideas. Listen and trust your inner voice. That was a major theme, wasn't it? I'm going to do it this way so that you guys can see it all together. If you want to take a screenshot to start working on your 2026 goals. All right. And then finally, we have Cupid. Cupid for the Aries. All right, let's pull this all together. All right, Aries, so with that 3 of Air, this is something that's already happened. You know what this is. Something hurt. Something hurt your feelings. Somebody broke your heart. Something didn't turn out the way you'd hoped. Someone let you down. You already know what this is. So the first thing that pops into your mind, they're talking about, please, please, please take the time you need to heal. Remember to go back to those 5 themes we just discussed. It's going to be really important. We're going within. You are on the right path with the new direction you're going on. So if you're questioning whether it is the right thing to break up with that person, to leave that job, to end that relationship or end that project, you're on the right path. This is your confirmation. You are on the right path. Things that you've already been visualizing for yourself in 2026, you're on the right path. Keep going there because this card is amazing. You are going to be manifesting like you have never manifested before. Major angel bumps right there. As I said that, I want you guys to remember that you have been working so hard to go in the direction you're in that it's almost like you're not going to believe your eyes how quickly things are transforming. The key is to keep going and not allow any hurt feelings or bitterness or anger over the way others treated you or even towards yourself to hold you back. Now, of course, we do have to address those emotions. And one of the big 5 themes we had for 2026 was to do that shadow work, go within, try to understand how these things happened so we can avoid them in the future. I do find that sometimes we blame ourselves more than we realize, and it's important to understand what happened there because then you have the stay true to yourself card here, right? So again, that kind of follows with the theme. Be careful not to blame yourself. You know, I feel like somebody was trying to tell you you're a bad person for doing something you love, or they were trying to tell you you're doing it the wrong way and it's going to turn out badly, right? So you know what this is for you, Aries, but you've got to stay true to what your heart wants, and you don't want to settle for something that is going to cause you more heartache down the road, but you've got to do that work to understand, did you settle in the past? And that's a big question I'm getting, a big question that's coming through for Aries to ask yourself. Of course, all 12 signs, so look to see what house you have Aries in and ask about it. Was there something in the past where you weren't really speaking from the heart and saying what you wanted? You gave in, you compromised on what you really wanted, and then you got hurt, because I have this Cupid card here too. So I do feel for some of you, this still has to do with some type of love relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could also be, a relationship with a family member where you didn't want to let them down. You didn't want to disappoint. You didn't want to hurt them. But in doing so, you let yourself down. And that's where the forgiveness needs to happen. I really feel like for Aries, there's something that you've been really hard on yourself about, or you've allowed others to be really hard on you about it. And they want you to keep going down that healing path, pursuing the things that you deserve. And 2026 is the year to do it. So let me do the overhead camera again so you can see all of these together. To get started right now on your 2026 energy so that you can focus, the first thing you got to ask yourself is, where am I still blaming myself for staying in a relationship too long, for letting other people influence me, or for settling? If you settled for anything in the past, this is the time to say, I'm not doing that anymore. All right. So you got to let me know what you guys are doing, Aries, because I'm excited for you and we need your energy powerfully with Saturn and Neptune conjuncting in your sign next year. Oh my goodness. We're going to be looking to you guys. All right. Taurus. Taurus, for your 2026 overall energy, we have the 6 of Fire. I'll just hold it up a little bit closer there. We have sensitivity. Again, number one, one of the big themes about using our intuition. We have transformation. Ooh, that's probably one of my favorite Tower cards that I've seen. And I consider the Tower a positive thing. I know that sometimes people get scared of it, but I'm with Reck from Minopon Tarot. He's taught me so much about tarot, and I agree with him. I think it's a good thing. And then we have success. Congratulations. You did it. You guys have been working hard. I know you have. And we have, there's nothing to worry about. All right, so let's pull this together, Taurus. All right, for the first thing we have here is the 6 of Fire card, and I love this card. You're finally getting the recognition you deserve, and you're feeling on fire. You're feeling excited. Things that you really have always wanted to do, you're finally doing them for yourself. And that's just it. You're doing it for you. You're not doing it for someone else. I always think of the couple who is like, they're been together for a long time. They're dating, they're having fun. They get in their rut of sitting on the TV in front of the TV every night and eating too much junk and gaining a little weight. And they go, well, you know what? When we decide to get married, we're going to lose all this weight and we're going to get in the best shape of our lives. And it's like, well, actually, why don't you just do that now? You don't have to wait until you get engaged or until you have a wedding plan to do that. And I feel like there's something that you were waiting to do because, oh, my kids need to be graduated from college first, or I need to save up this amount of money first, or I need my spouse to be on board with this new project first. And instead you're going, you know what, I'm going to do this for me. And you're not losing the weight for the wedding, you're losing the weight for yourself. And I'm not talking literally to you about that, but I do see a lot of people do things for an event or for another person. And what you're doing here, Taurus, is you're saying, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing it now because I deserve this. I've been waiting long enough, and you guys have. Now we have the sensitivity card here too, and I do feel like, a lot of you are recognizing just how psychic you are. I know so many Tauruses that don't realize how psychic they are. And then I know some that are closet psychics, like they don't admit how psychic they are, but they use it. They use their psychic abilities in a good way, but it's almost like they get a bad rap for saying no to things. You know who you are, Tauruses. Because psychically, intuitively, you're like, that person's not telling me the truth. And so you may not tell people you're relying on those things, but, now is the time to really step into those gifts, because we have this Tower card here. And that's what I'm talking about. Now that you're saying, hey, I'm doing this for me. I'm not waiting around anymore for everybody else to get on board. This person is charging ahead on this horse, right? You're saying we're making these changes now. Enough is enough. I'm tired of waiting for these things. Although Tauruses are very patient. You've been very patient, Tauruses, and I commend you. But now is the time for success, okay? You are going to finally feel that breath of fresh air of like, things are moving, things are going where I want them to go. And there's nothing to worry about with those around you. Okay. That's what I'm getting for this. You may feel as though you're having to leave somebody behind, but it's actually the very act of taking charge and saying, I'm doing this for me, that's going to bring in this transformation, and it's going to have a ripple effect on those around you, which I love, because they always talk about my favorite line, all ships rise with the tide. When you go for the things that make you feel successful, those around you benefit. And even if they don't seem like they're benefiting or they seem like they're resisting, you've planted a seed by demonstrating that you're going for what you want. And of course, you're doing it in a loving and compassionate way, but you're also saying, look, I'm going to lead by example. I am going to go do these things when I want to do them. And I am inviting you to embrace this change, right? That's the other thing about the Tower card, is you can set an example for embracing change, right? And I've noticed that Tauruses tend to be the more prepared ones. So you may find a lot of people are relying on you. Hey, what do we do now, Taurus? This was unexpected, right? But that's going to bring you a lot of success, because they're going to realize, wow, Taurus knows what they're talking about. So I love this for you guys, or wherever you have Taurus in your chart. The reason I give that that free PDF download on the Know Your Signs tutorial linked below is so you can see where you have Taurus in your chart. It may not be your sun, moon, or rising sign, but you do have Taurus. So you can see, and it comes with a description of each of the houses. All right. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. I really appreciate it. Really helps my channel grow. Comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, for Geminis, for the 2026 overview, we have King of Water. Open your heart to those around you. We have Infinite Abundance. Beautiful. You're fully supported to your divine life purpose. Ooh, this is so awesome, following up the messages I've been getting for Geminis in 2025. Moving into 2026 is so supportive. 3 of air. Okay, so you guys got this along with Aries. We're going to get into what that means in just a moment, pulling this all together. We have Mother Mary. Love that. The Blessed Mary is helping you with your divine purpose. And then we have the ocean. Beautiful. The ocean. All right, let's pull all this together, Geminis. Geminis, so your first card, this King of Water, is really about allowing others to support you. I know a lot of you have really wanted to be seen finally for the gifts you're bringing to the world. And it has been hard on you when those around you haven't really supported you. One of the things that I do when I'm supporting people who are new light workers that are getting out there, they're starting their spiritual practice, they're offering sessions, things like that. So they're starting to let people know, they're posting it on social media, whatever. And often I hear them say, my own friends and family aren't even liking my posts. And I said, that's because your audience is not your friends and family. It is rare that there is more than one light worker in a family unit. And so it often takes the family around them some time to get on board. They usually come around, but if you've been trying to do something new with your life purpose and you feel like your spouse, your parents, your children, your friends, your neighbors, whatever, your church, your collective is not supporting you, then this is your message to just say, look, I understand where you're coming from. I love you. I could use your support, but I'm going to go find a group of people who understand where I'm working towards. So I just basically say, your audience is not your friends and family. Maybe eventually they will be, but if you're relying on that, then it's going to make you feel blocked, because you do have an audience out there. Everybody does. Now, this next card, this Infinite Abundance, is really talking about, when you get out there in a bigger way, though, you're going to be shocked at the amount of people who are supporting what you're doing. So it's almost like you have to get outside of your normal pattern, your normal traffic the people that you're normally around, and go find these communities where you can share your gifts. Now, this 3 of air card here is, a lot of people say it's heartbreak and things like that, but also it's about like understanding where people are coming from in understanding your point of view and then getting clear on that. Because, you know, I feel like especially when involving people, our loved ones, it's never usually that somebody's intentionally trying to hurt somebody, but they don't speak their truth. And that's what ends up causing the pain down the road, is somebody is not being authentic. Somebody is not speaking their truth. And I feel like what Geminis are experiencing, you've either recently experienced this or you're afraid you're going to experience it, is that if you speak your truth, other people are going to come back at you with things that you might hurt your feelings or might not feel so good. However, this is kind of what you're being asked to do, is to really speak your truth no matter the risk, right? And usually the only way that we see big progress in something we're working on is when we become more vulnerable. So this King of Water is actually kind of a card of vulnerability, and asking yourself, where do you feel vulnerable and how do I rectify that? That's why I talk about my community so much, my online coffee with Devin, because I had to go find people that I felt safe talking about my intuitive experiences with, because I just felt all alone and I didn't want to be judged. But in a way, I ended up isolating myself because I was afraid to speak up about the things that were important to me. So this is a time for you to understand, how can you keep from feeling isolated when you're working on the things you want to work on. And this Mother Mary card, of course, is always just reminding you that you have a spiritual team to support you and love you. Mother Mary may be working with you if that's something that resonates with you. I have that video link below, Who's on Your Spiritual Team, where I explain we have so many amazing, beautiful, high vibrational beings working with us. So you can even ask to work with the energy of Mother Mary. All right. So Mother Mary, I would put in the category of an ascended master. And I myself have received great healing from Mother Mary back in 2019. And it was so unexpected. It literally brought me to tears. So if that's something that resonates with you, I encourage you to, but it's also just to remember that it's okay to ask for that help. And then with this Ocean card, I really almost feel like that's confirming what I just said about the flood of tears that overwhelmed me when I realized I was working with the energy of Mother Mary. I was actually in Santa Fe. I was at one of their very famous chapels there, the one with the wooden spiral staircase that has no nails. It's like an amazing, beautiful wonder. But yeah, I had this experience with Mother Mary there, wasn't looking for it, wasn't expecting it. And in the middle of this church, surrounded by strangers, I'm just tears streaming. And, you know, crying can be very cleansing, but it could also be that maybe if you haven't done it enough, you need to get by the ocean. You need to get by a body of water to help you really tap in to where are you not allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough, and where can you protect yourself? Because it's okay to protect yourself. You know, like I said, it's like, don't go share your exciting idea with that sibling or that friend who always puts you down and tells you it's not going to work. Go find a safe place to do that. Nurture yourself, heal through that. And next year for 2026, Geminis, I see so many of you breaking free of the molds that you've allowed yourself to be put in because you didn't want to let people down around you. Okay, so that's the main thing there. With Uranus in your sign, it is going to retrograde back into Taurus for a teeny bit, but it's coming back into your sign full time next year. So I want you to think of breaking the mold, breaking down the things that have been holding you back from doing the things you want to do. All right. I love that for Geminis. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. I'm just going to remind you guys as I can, and I'd love to hear in the comments where you're listening from, what's going on with you. Do you have any big goals for 2026 already, or even any trips planned? I'd love to hear about that. Oh, I just hit Aries. This is because I don't wear my glasses, and then I'm like, which one am I on here? All right. Cancers. What do we have for Cancers for 2026? Oh, did I turn off I turned off the whole 2026 title on here. I just realized. How did I do that? Yeah, there we go with that. And then, nope. Alrighty. So now we are doing the 2026 energy. Oh, that hasn't been published yet. Okay, so for Cancers for 2026, we have the Ace of Air card here. Brilliant new ideas and inspirations, seeing the truth of a situation. Okay, something new coming in for you guys in 2026, especially new ideas. We have the Speaker card here. Your life purpose involves your skills of oration. Beautiful, Cancers. Then we have Ace of Fire, opportunity, creativity, action. Ooh, I'm loving this, Cancers. And then we have new project. Life, like a newborn baby, your actions are growing your idea into reality. Something you're nurturing. You're going to start a new project in 2026, Cancers, is what it's looking like. We're going to pull it all together. And then we have let your past go. Let your past go. You know, I always like to joke about this because I'm a Cancer sun sign. Most Cancers I know, including myself, when we love somebody, we love them forever, even if we never see that person again. And sometimes that can get in the way. Even if we're like, okay, I'm not in love with that person anymore. I don't have those feelings, or I don't feel that, need to be that person's friend anymore or whatever. We do have this loyalty to the time we were in that friendship or in that relationship. So let the past go is definitely something that Cancers, I feel like, could work on in 2026 and beyond, because with all this water energy that we've been experiencing right now in 2025, we're in the middle of this grand water trine that at the time I'm recording this is an opportunity, especially with Jupiter in your sign for a little while longer. I'm not sure when it dips into Leo next year, but it is in your sign right now at the time we're recording this. You know, it's that whole what we focus on expands. So if you are getting caught in nostalgia, remember that was one of the 5 themes at the beginning. Ask yourself why, and what was it about that relationship or that time in your life that you miss, and how can you recreate that now with healthy boundaries, okay? So the very first card I'm getting here is this Ace of Air card here. I do think that some new idea, some exciting thing is coming in for you, Cancers, and it will probably involve you doing something that you haven't normally done speaking wise. Maybe you're starting a podcast, maybe you're writing, maybe you're starting a YouTube channel, or you're joining a group of people where you're going to be speaking at events. There is something there, but remember also that other theme that all of us have is to share your story. So this could be you're speaking up more about an experience you went through with your children, with your grandchildren, with your neighbors and your friends. Again, it doesn't have to be something where you're literally up on a stage, but you're starting to talk about it more. Maybe you're becoming a mentor to others. And I do think that this new opportunity coming in is something that I feel is going to be a little unexpected. I feel like it's something you never thought you would do before. You're just kind of like, I want to do that. That's exciting. I want to try that, but it's going to take a lot of work. In fact, what I'm feeling is you're going to have to overcome some old self-beliefs, some old self-doubts about yourself. Once you do that, this new project is going to be phenomenal. And this let your past go card. What I really think is going on here is just, it has to do with that idea that, oh, the last time I partnered up with the person for this project, I lost a bunch of money. Or the last time I tried to share an experience I had, I got shut down. There is something around that if you will try to understand the circumstances, like I said earlier with the relationships, the circumstances that led to that, then I think you're going to realize I'm not that person anymore. I'm not letting that bother me anymore. And, it could even be a situation where you need to intentionally kind of embarrass yourself to get over it. And obviously we're not doing anything wacky, but, Reck talks about like trying to embarrass yourself every day. He follows the founder of Spanx. I'm blanking on her name, but I thought about that and I'm like, yeah, I've definitely done things that were kind of embarrassing to do. Once I got over the embarrassment, I was still glad I did it, and I think that's kind of where we're going with this is there's going to be things that we have to really ask ourselves, like, am I really going to let a little bit of embarrassment stop me from trying this thing I want to try, from getting started, from sharing this thing about myself? So if you had anything happen recently that felt embarrassing, this is your chance to turn that into something that works for you, again, by sharing your story. Let's say you did something that caused a little bit of embarrassment within a social group or in the public. And how can you take that you that was hurt and embarrassed, then nurture it and share a story that would help someone else who might be going through that, right? We all need to know we're not the only ones going through things. So I really see something around speaking about past things that were embarrassing or felt like a failure and turning it into a new project that really shines. And Cancers, if you're tuning in late, please go listen to Geminis too, because I'm feeling a lot of the same energy there around being willing to be vulnerable and breaking the mold. All right. I love that for the Cancers. Let's move on to the Leos, the lovely Leos. All righty. Leos, what do we have for 2026 for the Leos? We have renewal. Interesting. I love that. Artist. Oh, yeah. Perfect for the creative Leo energy. Eight of Earth. Very focused here. The Prosperity card. Wow, this is exciting, Leos. And playtime. Oh, Leos. I know a lot of Leos that are great at teaching others to play, but are you remembering to play yourself? Are you taking enough time to play for yourself? So this renewal card, let's get started there. There are relationships from your past that you're probably going to be thinking about, working through, trying to understand why they didn't work, trying to understand if that's something you want to go back to. I'm actually getting for a lot of Leos, it's a no. If you are considering getting back with an ex, going back to work for an old boss, going back to a group of people and collaborating with them, this card is giving me a big no. Of course, I'm not reading literally, I'm reading intuitively. Now, of course, there's always the exceptions to that. If this is an opportunity to be seen differently, to work through the relationship differently, to be treated differently, then it could be a yes, it could be a maybe. But that's going to take some working through. And one of the big things that is coming through here is if you are not being honored for the artist you are, for the creativity and the love and the light you shine in the world, then it is a no. Okay, so this means, let's say you got invited to speak at an event, or maybe you are, a musician and you got invited to play at this big event. And then when it got closer, they didn't follow through. They didn't end up actually inviting you to come. You had kind of like penciled in that date to be there and put off other things. And you thought, well, I kind of wanted to be there, but I never really got invited. Oh, well. And you didn't let it bother you that much, but it happened. You're kind of like, interesting. So then this year it comes up again and they are inviting you back and they're saying, you know what? Actually, we do need you back. Sorry, it didn't work out last time. Would you come back? You're going to really have to get clear on what your boundaries are and what your asks are before you agree to that. Like, well, then you need to book me right now. You need to put a deposit down right now. I need you to book a room for me. I need, all the things. I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe that's very specific for some of you, but I want you to apply this broadly. If you are considering going back to this partnership, this collaboration, whatever, you've got to do it differently so that you are being recognized and honored for the artist you are, okay? And then we have the Eight of Earth here. You've been working really hard on things. You've been advancing your knowledge and your skills. And this is why maybe going back to a relationship, to a job, to a group of people is not in your highest interest, because they don't even realize how hard you've been working, and they're not even going to recognize you for that, because they're going to still see you as the you from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? If any of you have ever done like a high school reunion thing where it's just like hard to see people differently than the way you saw them in, elementary school or high school, right? Even though they've probably gone off and done all these different things. That's what I feel like is going on for Leos. It's like, just be careful that people aren't putting you back into an old persona that you've long since overgrown. So you see this happen a lot with like high school friends. Kids go off to college. They make a bunch of new college friends who didn't know anything about them, had a totally different impression. And then they get the high school kids around them and they're like, oh, that person never did that. And what are you talking about? And it's a clash of perception, because the high school person hasn't seen them grow. And that's what I know that was kind of a messy metaphor there, but it's just anybody who's trying to box you in and not recognizing how far you've grown. It could literally be for some of you an old boss who, you started working there right out of high school or right out of college. You went off and your merry way and did a bunch of other things. And now 10, 20 years later, they still want to put you in that old character that you were when you first started working for them, but you've learned so much. So, okay, you get my point on that. But I do feel like that, a lot of the work you've been doing to bring something to fruition in 2025, you're going to start to feel the prosperity around that. You're going to feel like, okay, I finally feel confident in this direction. I feel like it's something that I know I want. I'm not questioning it. Like, I feel like a lot of you were questioning some of the things you were working on and where you were headed. And then this playtime here is just that reminder that, you have a playful energy, and are you remembering to do it for yourself? Are you too busy entertaining others? That's what I'm hearing. Are you so busy entertaining everybody else around you because you're the fun one that you're not doing what you want to do? So I want you to ask yourself, if you could go anywhere or do anything just for you, just for fun in 2026, what would you do? And then the same way with even these projects, these things that you're doing, maybe you need to take a more playful approach to the things you're working on, right? And that can come in so many different ways, right? Like, I know for me, always have like several podcasts on a list that I'm waiting to listen to, so that when it's time to do a bunch of chores around the house, I've got back-to-back entertainment, and I enjoy doing those chores because I get to just lose myself in the podcast. So make sure you're not so busy entertaining others that you forget to play yourself. All right, Leos? All right. Love that. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. I really appreciate it. Comment below and let me know, what are your big plans or intentions for 2026? Now we have the Virgos. What do we have for Virgos for 2026? We have 5 of air. Learn what you can from a situation. Review everyone's motives. We have freedom. You're free to do what you choose. We have 4 of earth. Frugalness, extravagance, control. We have a detox time. And we have, what do you desire? I like that picture. So I wanted to give you a closer up view there in case you're watching. If you're listening, that's just fine too. It's just a pretty picture of a woman in a garden. Alrighty, so 5 of air is going to be the first card we're going to address here. I do think that this is something to always keep in mind for most Virgos that I know. I'm surrounded by Virgos, but all of us need to keep this in mind. I feel like a lot of times you rush to support others, to help others without really understanding their motives behind asking for your help, or their motives behind where they're trying to go. It's kind of that age-old joke about, how the husband always wants to fix things for the wife. And sometimes the wife just wants to vent and doesn't want a solution, right? I feel like there's a little bit going on there. Like maybe your question of the year, Virgos, for 2026 is before you volunteer to help somebody or before you agree to help somebody who's asked you, understand where they're coming from. And maybe they are just wanting to vent, or maybe they're not being completely upfront with you about their motives. And I don't mean that in an undermining way, but just the way that some people can be have a very hard time being vulnerable, sharing what they're going through. And you're such a natural born healer, Virgos, that people open up to you. They want to share with you, but then it's almost like they're filtering what they're saying. So yeah, I'm getting that in 2026, there are going to be people seeking your help or being willing to take your help for free. And they may not be as upfront with you about what their motives are. So that's what I'm hearing for Virgos. We're going to go deeper with these other cards, but just asking yourself, do I really understand the motive behind this situation before I'm offering my time and energy? Because you really need to. And I get this freedom card here too. You're free to do what you choose. I do think a lot of Virgos tend to be rule followers. Not all of them, of course, but there's this innate sense of this is how it should be done. And I don't want to let this person down. I don't want to let my boss down. I don't want to let my community down. But you have the freedom to go higher than that. You can break free of that restriction. So ask yourself where you're telling yourself no mentally. Like, that inner monologue, like, I'd love to take a beach vacation for Christmas. Well, if I do that, then I'm letting down my friends for their famous Christmas party. I won't be at their famous Christmas party. It's okay if you miss a famous Christmas party one year, right? You can go on that beach vacation if you want. I don't know why that popped in my head. Let me know if you guys are wanting to go to the beach or travel, Virgos. But yeah, whatever this is, it could be wanting to move. It could be wanting to change jobs. It could be wanting to ask for a different position at the same job and saying, hey, I really would like to have this opportunity. But let's go into 4 Earth here too. This frugalness, extravagance, and control card here kind of goes back to limits you're putting on yourself. I feel like maybe a lot of Virgos need to loosen their belt a little bit. Of course, we always want to keep an eye on our spending. This is by no means, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but maybe there is something that you're being a little too stingy with. It could be stingy with your time, stingy with your energy, and it's negatively affecting where you're wanting to go. Okay. And that's one of the things that I am seeing is like, it's more that you're hard on yourself. You're not allowing yourself to do something you want to do. You're not allowing yourself to invest in something you want for you because you're so busy doing everything for everybody else. Now, for a few of you, this is a little bit of needing to tighten your belt because of what you've been doing for others. It's been too much time and energy. So I know that sounds like it's like, wait, you just said the opposite, Devin, but tighten your belt on the amount of attention you're giving to other people's issues and projects, right? So you may be taking some things off the list. If you're on a board in 2025, maybe in 2026, you're resigning some kind of, thing, or maybe, every 2 weeks you're volunteering at this one location and you're saying, I need that time back, those kinds of things. And Virgos, you're such helpers and healers. You're like, I can't do that. How are they going to get that done if they don't have me there? You are free to do what you want to do. And I argue with this with some of my friends, especially one of my good Sag friends. My dad used to talk to me about how everybody's replaceable. Now he's talking about in a job, okay? Obviously we can't replace our family members and our beloved animals and all those things. And you are not replaceable. You are very, very important and unique. But when it comes to a position or a job, we get stuck in this idea that this business won't survive without me. This person won't survive without me. These things wouldn't get done without me. And that is where we need to detox from that. And you need to tighten your belt a little bit and say, I don't know, why don't you just volunteer 1 hour less and see how they do, right? Maybe you're not totally removing your energy, or you're not going to your friend's Christmas party because you're going to the beach, but you're offering to host something with the same group of people when you get back or for Thanksgiving, right? And then this what do you desire card. that's where you're going to know, where do I need to tighten the belt and where do I need to loosen the belt, right? Where am I too stingy with my energy and resources, and where am I not stingy enough? I don't even really like the word stingy, but I'm hearing it. So I feel like that's important there. So Virgos, please, please, please do the things you need to do to balance your energy. Even though you are so great at serving others, you are the sign of service, but serve yourself first so that you have the energy you need to be there for others later on down the road. All right. I love that for the Virgos. Thank you guys for liking and sharing. I'm just going to be reminding you as I go through because I forget to say it. But let me know in the comments, are you guys traveling anywhere fun in 2026? All right. Libras. Hello, Libras. First card we have for Libras for 2026, 8 of Earth. Skilled work is rewarded, just like the Virgos got, your neighbor sign. Author. The Chariot. Willpower, victory, recognition. Perfectionism. All right, that's going to be fun to dive into there. And then entrepreneur. All right. So let's get started here, Libras. I see that this 8 of Earth card is something that is really asking you to acknowledge the things you're good at. What are the things that are so natural for you that other people say, hey, you know what? You're really good at that. Like, I've noticed that you do this really well. What are those things? Can you use those for a new project in 2026? For a lot of you, I really feel like this author card is talking about writing the book you've always wanted to write, but that's too literal for most of you. It's about authoring your own story of where you're headed and finding ways to use the things you're naturally good at to move to a new level. We literally have this Chariot card here, which is about leaving things behind, heading in a new direction. Don't forget the big 5 themes. If you're tuning in late, please go check out the big 5 themes from the beginning of this video of 2026 energy. It says willpower, victory, or recognition. We are using our intuition to guide us in 2026. Let me switch over here real quickly to the overhead camera. The person or angel in this Chariot is not holding on to any reins. In fact, there are no reins. All right. So the guidance is coming from within, from checking in with the intuition. So I want you to do things on a daily basis to bring an intuitive living lifestyle into your daily routine. If you're not already spending a little time every day connecting with your spiritual team, either through journaling, meditation, walks out in nature, what do they call that? Forest bathing, and pulling angel cards for yourself, whatever that is, you're being asked to bring that back in right now. Don't wait till 2026 because you're headed in a new direction and your spiritual team wants to be able to easily get these signs to you. Because now we have the perfectionism card here. And I feel like one of the things too that's been holding you back is this idea of you wanting to be better at something you're already good at. And so I want you to ask yourself, like, am I holding myself back because I want it to be, there's a huge plane flying up right now. That may mean something to you guys. That's a unique plane. I haven't seen that one in a while. It's a jet. Oh, you hear that going over? That was for you, Libras. Fly high. You literally have a Chariot card and then you have a jet go above. And you're an air sign, so it's up in the air. I love that. That means something for you guys. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, this perfectionism card is what I was talking about. And it's like the sky is the limit. You can get better as you do it, right? The whole like learn from doing things. And that's why I'm asking you to do something that you're already good at, that you like doing, of course. You know, I still like to use that caveat. You know, I got my degree in accounting and business administration. I can do a tax return. I can do people's books. I don't want to. So I don't. That's what I'm saying is I used to do it. I did it for 16 years. But it's the thing that just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Watch out for that should word. That was one of the major 5 themes. But I feel like there's something you do want to do. You've been holding yourself back. Get started on that book, get started on that project, get started on that interior design you want to do in your home. Take that trip, author your story. That's what I'm hearing for Libras. What is it that you want your story of 2026 to be, Libras? And this entrepreneur card, again, I'm not reading literally here, but it could be you've always wanted to start a business doing something you're really good at. It could also just be that idea of starting something new and doing it on your own. So if you've always wanted to travel Italy, but you don't have anyone to go with, author that story. Can you join a group of people? I was just watching one of my favorite movies Saturday, Under the Tuscan Sun. I quote it a lot. But that's what happens is she goes on a tour of total strangers through Italy and has all these amazing experiences. So I want you to be the author of your own story, Libras. I want you to think about right now, what are the last 3 things that people have complimented you on most recently? And think about the things that people just naturally notice you're good at. And maybe it's just so second nature to you, you don't give yourself credit for it. But please move forward with something that your heart is wanting to do. It is going to be new for you, but you don't have to be perfect right out the gate. All right, let's move over to another sign. Thank you guys for liking and sharing and commenting below. I love reading your comments. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you are traveling Italy. I want to hear all about it. Or anywhere cool. Anywhere cool. Oh gosh, I was just going to tell you something else too, and now it just slipped my mind. All right, it'll come back. It was just like a total anecdote story, and so I guess my guys were like, she doesn't need to waste time on that right now. She's got to get to Scorpio. All right, Scorpios, here we go. Scorpios, for your 2026 overview, we have Page of Air. We have flowers. Love it. Beautiful. We have King of Air. Look at that, King and Queen. Interesting. We have Nurture Yourself. Beautiful. And we have See Only Love. See Only Love. All right, Scorpios. I am getting a message that may only be for a few of you. So other Scorpios, hang on. We're going to get to another interpretation that's coming through for you. But this one I want to go through first is some of you are in relationships right now that need a lot more nurturing. They need a lot more intentional time together and intimacy. They need an understanding of the other person, that we're all human. We're all just trying to figure this out, having this human experience. And you need that too. It goes both ways. Now, this part goes for all Scorpios. I really want you to spend a lot of time now asking yourself what relationships in my life and from the past even, because this could be part of that shadow work we were asked to do for our 5 themes, where I've always been the giver. Like it's always been an unequal exchange of giving and receiving. All right. That unrequited love, that unreturned favor, right? Maybe you're always the one hosting the parties and nobody's offering to host at their house. Or you're always the one running to somebody's side to let them cry on your shoulder, but when you need to let something out, they don't pick up the phone. I mean, we're not trying to be too judgmental here, but this is for all Scorpios. For some of you at the beginning message, it really is like literally a spouse or a romantic partner. And it's that idea of when you love yourself first, then you will attract others who will do an equal give and exchange. And it sounds cliche, but it really is true that you must first love yourself. You must first fully embrace who you are. And then you will find these other relationships around you. The ones that are meant to be in your life will heal. They'll go to the next level. And the ones that are not meant to be will fall away and make room for something better. Okay? So that message was strong. Let's go a little deeper here. This Page of Air card is feeling like somebody is being inconsiderate of your feelings, They are possibly not bringing romance or love into a situation. They're being very just sarcastic. I'm hearing sarcasm a lot, putting each other down. Maybe you're in a friendship. It doesn't have to be romantic, a friendship where the banter has gotten too much. The other person is just too condescending, to always putting you down and telling you you're stupid. It's like, there's stuff around that, Scorpios, where I feel like it's kind of doing an inventory. I talked about this with Chris Reck when he was on my channel 2 weeks ago. We did This Time Next Year. If you missed that, definitely check it out. I'll try to remember to link it below. But we were talking about, and I don't remember if it was for Scorpio. It might have been for Pisces, but it was just in general, we were talking about the idea of being ambivalent. And, if you always go on Friday nights to hang out with a certain group of people after work, and you're starting to feel ambivalent about it, like, honestly, I kind of would rather just go home and watch Netflix, you need to pay attention to that. Why is that, right? And I'm not telling you what to do, but ask yourself, why? Why am I getting out and doing this if this is not something that's exciting for me? Maybe there's an energy there that you don't need to be around. Now, this could be that it's not that they're not directing it at you, but it's just the conversation you don't like. Like, they're always complaining about politics, or they're always complaining about what's going on in the world and what's happened to the world. Remember what I said about the 5 themes about the way things should be. Have you ever had somebody in your life, especially we tend to see it with older generations, that are like, in my day, you would have blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I get it, but it's different now, right? It's much different than it used to be. So there's something around that. And then this flowers card is literally like giving yourself flowers. So, instead of going out to dinner with that group of people, what's something you want to do for yourself? Maybe you do want to stay home and watch Under the Tuscan Sun and have a really amazing bowl of pasta. Do it for yourself. Like, bring the romance in. In fact, that's one of my favorite lines from Under the Tuscan Sun is that she meets up with the older, wise supermodel actress lady, and she tells her, go work on your house and forget about finding the ideal partner. Just go do you, and that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, Scorpios. Then this King of Air card, again, it feels like I want you to just be aware of those who are being very judgmental of the things that you are doing from a place from the heart, and where you're being vulnerable. And I do feel like, see, this Nurture Yourself card, it just feels like some things you've been dealing with, Scorpios, where it was hurtful. Like, people were not considering your feelings. They were trying to make a joke to get a laugh, and they didn't realize it hurt your feelings, or they just were relying on you too much and not asking you what your needs were. Because I am definitely seeing this See Only Love card. You're also going to be asked to forgive those for that, who these people were who hurt your feelings, or who let you down, or who weren't there for you the way you were for them. If you can try to see them as, basically like a child of God, like we are all one ultimately, right? And seeing them as innocent and not knowing what they do, that's going to help you with moving forward to make space for these new people. So I know that was a little dramatic, Scorpios, but I really do feel that some of you are going to be letting go of relationships to make room for new, healthier ones. And some of you are going to be restoring current ones, but that's all going to start with first buying yourself flowers, seeing only love, nurturing yourself first. If you don't want to go out to do that thing, can you change the plans? I know we want to be there for our loved ones. We want to keep our commitments, but really ask yourself, what is it about that energy? Maybe there's just too much page of air. And, I'll share with you, I had an experience like this in the past where, I would come home from a regular group activity that I was part of, and I would be absolutely drained. And then at night, when I went to bed, the conversations would replay in my head, and I would feel bad that I didn't say something. I would feel bad that maybe the other person took something I said the wrong way. And it was like, what is it about this energy that I don't like? And it really was a Page of Swords environment. And I realized I loved the people I was around. They were amazing, beautiful people, but it wasn't the right environment for me. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I feel like you kind of already know what this is, Scorpio, but it's going to be something you have to continue through 2026. Like, we don't want to just replace these relationships with something the same, and we don't want to just throw out relationships that could be salvaged by adding some self-love, doing more things for yourself first. Okay? All right, good. I think that helps a lot. All right, Sagittarius. I know this is such a long video this time, but that's okay. Thank you for liking and sharing this video. Comment below where you're tuning in from, what your plans are for 2026. All right, so what do we have for the Sages for 2026? We have the Knight of Earth. We have the Talk to Your Angels. We have Seven of Water. And let's see, 2 more here. Pay attention to your dreams. And new partner. Exciting, Sages. All right. All right, well, let's get started here. First, for the Sages with this Knight of Earth, I feel like, you have had a lot of growth in 2025. We're moving into 2026. Maybe you did in 2024 too. That's why I said that. But also, it's been like more healing and growing spiritually. It's been a lot about really having to move through some deep emotions to get to a new phase. And it's been about trying to understand where you want to go next. And I feel like a lot of you have taken action on the things you want to do next, but now it's requiring a lot of time, effort, and focus. So this card even talks about it. I think it says focus, doesn't it? No. Yes. Buckle down and focus. And that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like in 2026, Sagittarius, you're going into that year very focused on your goals and the things you want to do. Whereas coming into 2025, it felt a little murky, like a little bit like, I know I want to move in a new direction. I know I want to do something different. I just don't know what that is yet. And it felt like, I think a lot of you were waiting to get information so you could make a move, and it just didn't happen. Or the information you got didn't make it any easier. So yeah, I'm feeling like this year though, you're like, oh, I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go. I know what I don't want anymore. And you're focused on that. Because then we have this Talk to Your Angels card here. And it says, instead of worrying, ask for guidance. Goodness gracious, this is literally what I do for a living. And even I forget to ask for help. I was laughing at myself about this yesterday. I was looking at the tons of appointments and things I have going on in my schedule this week, which is why I'm pre-recording this and airing it during my normal live, is because there was just no way with all the places people needed me to be that I could be live. And then I still wasn't sure I could be all the places everybody needed me to be. So I just asked my team. But at first I was like, what if this? What if that? And then I just heard Devin in the back of my head. And I thought, oh, right, I should ask for help. This is what's part of living an intuitive lifestyle is, when you intentionally connect with your spiritual team every day, you can ask for help and suddenly people will call up and offer to do things for you. Things will fall off your calendar. Something will get canceled and give you more time, or something you had to do takes less time. So you have time to do something else. So remember to talk to your angels as you go through. Try not to get so focused, because that's the other thing, is this is an earth card. Try not to get so focused on your material reality, Sagittarius, that you forget to go higher and ask your spiritual team for help. And of course, check in with your intuition, right? We don't want to be too practical. Then we have a Seven of Water card here, which is kind of one of those illusory cards where it's like, what does this really mean? What should we do? So whenever I am not feeling like an intuitive message come through, I always go back to what Reck from Tarot calls this card. Tarot is a card of being spoiled for choices. When I learned that that's how he sees this card, it clicked for me so much, because you can literally not ever take action on anything because you don't know which cup to choose, right? And I actually am not somebody that really enjoys shopping. So I learned the hard way growing up and stuff that if I really needed to get some clothes for work or for something, I had to be really careful about where I went shopping, when I went shopping. I had to know kind of ahead of time what I was looking for, or else I'd walk in that store, I'd be there for about 5 minutes, I'd get exhausted, and I'd walk out. So it was like, there's all these options. I just won't pick any, right? Make sure you're not picking, if that makes sense. That was great grammar, right, Devin? Let's keep going for some clarification here. Pay attention to your dreams. Okay, so yeah, this is great. This is great for you guys. I think you're going to get some messages about which cup to choose through your dreams. And it may be that you have a dream and you realize you don't want one of those cups, or you have a dream and you realize somebody's not really being clear with you about what's in that cup. So pay attention to your dreams. And then I have this new partner card here, which I always get excited when I see a new partner. It doesn't just mean romantic relationships, but for some of you, if you've been wanting that, it could be that, you've had too many choices on the dating menu, or, it's like, how many dating apps are there out there now? Pick one, just focus on one. But there is something around like just a new partner with the thing you want to be doing. So I'm actually seeing for a lot of Sages, it's not romantic. It's a collaboration. It's something that you're going to be excited to do. Some of you, it's going to be a new best friend that you get to go exploring with, you get to go travel with. Some of you, like I said, it really is a new romantic partner. But what you have to do is really make sure you're paying attention to your dreams, checking in with your intuition, listening for signs and symbols to see if this person really is the right partner for you. In fact, it could be that maybe you do have the opportunity to start a business with somebody or start a project, and there's multiple people willing to do this with you, and you're having to say, okay, where do I want to put my focus? It could also be that you just, I don't think I know a single Sag that isn't multi-talented. You guys are so talented and so creative. It may be just that kind of getting down and narrowing down to one thing at a time. Maybe what you need to do is like something you need to just pick one thing, do it until you're finished, then go do the other thing, do it till you're finished. That's what I feel like could be the issue too. If it's something you're trying to plan, like an event or a vacation, it does feel also like you're overwhelmed by the options. Well, we could travel here, we could do it this day. Maybe it's good to get help with that, right? So this new partner could be a travel agent or an event planner, or it could be somebody, just even a best friend, getting their feedback on stuff. So I think that, for Sages, it's going to be about buckling down and getting things done, but allowing others to help you, because I know you're very good at doing many things at once. You often just run off and just get it done so that you don't have to wait around on others. But I think in this case, you're being asked, let your new partner help you, okay? This could be somebody who's already in your life and you're realizing, oh, like they're willing to help me get these things done. I can let them do that and help make this decision here. But it feels like in, like I said, in 2026, the whole year is about getting focused on what you really want to accomplish, but doing it with like clarity and focus and asking for help getting those things done. So it could be that you are picking more than one cup, but you're not trying to do it all on your own. You're talking to your angels, you're talking to your new partner, you're listening for signs and symbols. I dropped it earlier, but I keep wanting to remind you guys to grab your journal, carry it with you everywhere. If you need to, you can get a new purse or backpack so it fits there. Keep it by your bedside too. You can have a separate dream journal, although I do find that keeping everything in one place really aids the intuitive living lifestyle. So in my journal, I have next to my to-do list, I have my dreams, and I have the angel numbers I saw that day, and I have my daily journaling where I say, thank you, God, for today, and I journal. So what I'm saying is, it's like focus that energy in to one place. It could be all in one journal, all in one cup, all in one day. Like you're taking one day a week, every week, to do this one project so that nothing else interrupts you. I do think that's going to be the most important thing for 2026 is just the way you're going into the year with pure focus, and you are going into the year with the reminder that you have a spiritual team to help you, you have a partner to help you, and it's going to be important that you notice those signs and symbols. So this is looking really amazing for you guys, Sagittarius. I want to know what projects you're working on. What are these things that you're doing? Because you're already feeling like, okay, I'm ready to finally buckle down and get this thing done. Maybe you're going back to school for something. You're starting a project that you keep pushing down the road because you think you're going to have more time, and you're like, nope, 2026 is the year this is happening. And I want you to know, if I were to ask you that, what would that be for you, Sagittarius? Like, what is 2026 the year of for you? And actually, that's a good year for all of us to ask ourselves, like, something you really want. Is this the year that we do that? And if not, why not? And what else could we do to keep moving us towards those goals? So to me, this is super, super exciting. I feel like, Sagittarius, you've got probably the most free and open energy to really push forward. I think a lot of the other signs I was seeing, it's like, doing a lot more healing first, or doing a lot more inner reflection, or, just adding things to our nurturing of ourselves. Whereas you guys, it's like you're doing that. So now, like, go do the next big thing. Okay. So I hope that resonates for you guys. Let me know in the comments if it does. Thank you guys for liking and sharing this video. I really appreciate it. And definitely let me know what you're planning to do for 2026. All righty. Next, we have the Capricorns. All right, Capricorns, for 2026, we have the 3 of Water card, a celebration, wedding, graduation, birth announcement that need to have more fun. We have Justice. Your career brings fairness and protection to others who need your help. We have 5 of Water, disappointment, regret, forgiveness. Remember, I don't read literally, I read intuitively. Sometimes it's super literal, but let go. And life purpose. Life purpose. Yeah, so, I feel like for a lot of Capricorns, you're going to be a lot more focused on your family, your loved ones, your surroundings. You're going to be focused on celebrating life on a daily basis and celebrating the time you have with those you love. And that's going to be something you're going to want to carry throughout the year, because it's going to serve you in other areas of your life. This Justice card is talking about how you're probably not aware of how much your gifts, your spiritual gifts, your love and light, the support you offer others, how much it protects them. And it feels like, in a lot of ways, the work you do, now again, this could be anything. I mean, it could be, IT, it could be in the medical field, whatever this is that you do, though, you're really serving others with these things. And in a way, it's like you want to be able to help everybody, but that's just not possible. Instead, what you want to be doing is focusing on your purpose and try not to control the outcome. So with this 5 of Water card here, what I'm seeing here is like, this is a card. I'll do the overhead camera so you can see it a little closer there. This person has spilled milk everywhere, right? So obviously it's kind of referencing like no use crying over spilled milk, right? You can't unspill the milk. So if you really have to go to bat for somebody, if you really have to stand up for your beliefs or stand up for someone else, and actually what I'm hearing is just by being you and really standing in your beliefs, you're helping others, you might find there are some not so great consequences. It's almost like it's going to cause others to spill their milk. But you have to let go of the outcome. You have to let them be on their path, if that makes sense, because they're meant to do it in their own way, in their own time. So this let go card and this life purpose card here are really talking about kind of like, was it Geminis I was talking about this? It's like you have to let go of the people who don't want to join you on your life purpose, right? It's like, I'm going this way. This is what I believe. This is what I stand for. And those who resist going with you, let them. Let them. And I think that's going to be really valuable for all 12 signs to remember as we are really honing our spiritual abilities, really working on our spiritual growth, okay? That message that I was giving Gemini applies here too. It applies to all 12 signs that, not everybody is meant to be on our journey with us. They're meant to go and learn their own lessons. And I really feel like what I'm getting here with all 5 of these cards is that you're probably going to be really standing up for something that is going to cause others to kind of have a little bit of a emotional, overflow about it. They're going to be a little bit over the top in the way they react. It could be that, you're like, hey, I've decided I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go full time into my small business that I want to start. And your best friend who works the cubicle next to you blows up at you and says, I can't believe you're leaving me here, right? It can be like this burst of emotion that you didn't really expect, but they can't unsay it. You can't unhear it. And it's like, you know what, but you're my best friend. We're going to let this go. You don't have to support me, but this is my life purpose. So you can apply this to anything though, because it could be that, you're choosing to move to move your family to a new location. And maybe you have family living close by and they're like, what? No, you can't leave. We have to all be close to each other, or even neighbors or friends that don't want to see you move. They may not respond when you stand up for yourself the way you would ideally like them to, but you're going to have to let go of what their reaction is. That's on them. That's something they're going through. You've got to follow through on your purpose. So this is really interesting. I feel like too, the more that you focus on protecting the things that are important to you, spending time with your loved ones, your family, your favorite animals, doing the things there, then when you have to go stand up for what's right and you have these other people that are like, you can't say that, you can't do that, it's going to be like water off a duck's back. That's what I'm seeing, because you're like, this is my purpose. All right, Capricorn. So follow that purpose. You've got support here. And, as I said at the beginning of this video, all of you are here watching this video because you are being activated as a light worker. Most of you already know that, but if it's never occurred to you why you feel drawn to connect to your higher self, to your angels, to get these divine messages, why do you feel drawn to do that? Because you have natural born intuitive abilities, you have spiritual gifts, and you're being asked to use them. It doesn't mean you have to go start a YouTube channel. Maybe you will be. But it could mean that, you just give yourself credit for the work you're doing, okay? And that's been a big part of these themes as well. All right, moving on to the Aquarius messages. Aquas for 2026 energy overview. We have 9 of fire. Don't give up. Protect what you've created. We have environmentalist. You're an earth angel who is born to protect, nurture, and teach about nature and the animals. The high priestess, intuition, wisdom, patience. Daily practice. I like that. Daily practice. And law of attraction. Law of attraction. All right, Aquarius, let's get right into this. I feel like you know exactly what you need to protect. You do. You know exactly what this card is talking about. Either you've started your own business and people keep trying to pull you away from it to help with their things, or you want to head in a new direction with your work and you've been doing things behind the scenes to get going with that, and you need to just trust that it may be unusual. It may not be received very well by those around you, but it is something that you are meant to do, that you are meant to protect. Okay, so this is exciting news going into 2026, Aquarius. I feel like you know exactly what this is. You've had some revelation in 2025 that you want to go in a new direction. You've started kind of making some behind the scene moves, and now it's time to really ask yourself, how do I surround myself, environmentalist, again, I don't read literally, I'll go into this more, with the energy I need to do these things? What do I need to do to protect this? Okay. So I am actually seeing for some of you, this could be you're moving offices, you're moving homes, you're changing something within the home, you're doing things so that you can keep going with this project. Now, for those of you that it's not a business, right? Now, I do feel for some of you it is. But if you're retired, then this is something around a legacy, something you want to leave behind, or it could be something to do within a family dynamic. So for some of you, maybe you recently got married and there's some stepchildren involved. Maybe you're thinking about getting married and that would change where you live and the circumstances for you and your kids, or maybe you don't have kids, but they have kids. It's like a new dynamic. And it's like, how do you merge these energies and still be able to protect that energy that's so important to you? So I'll just use like an example that's coming to my mind. Maybe you're a writer, you're used to living alone, you're used to having plenty of time to sit and write quietly whenever you want, and now you're getting married, and now there's going to be new dogs in the house and maybe some children. How can you guys purchase a home or a location or rent a place where you can have a room just for your writing that can be your space, that you can go in and close the door and put a sign that says, please do not disturb? I feel this for you. And so I'm using the family example because I know not all of you are here for career or legacy or anything like that. It's something around just being able to protect these things that are so important to you. Now, I also have the High Priestess card here. So for some of you, you've already been working really hard to use your spiritual gifts, and you're going to new levels with it. And the thing is you're bringing in these new ways of doing things that if you don't do it on a daily basis, you might talk yourself out of it because you might start to feel rusty. So, perfect example. Let's say you do want to start a podcast. Can you spend 15 to 20 minutes a day practicing speaking into a microphone, practicing doing things for, coming up with topics? Can you take a class? I don't know if I've shared this with Aquarius before, but I took an improv class in 2022, I think, 2022, to help me with the banter back and forth with people online, because I was starting to do more collabs and things like that. It was so much fun. It was an online class. I wish I could have done it in person. It just wasn't available. But it was 2 solid weeks of classes every single day, not on the weekends, but oh my gosh, it was an intensive thing. But that daily practice just pushed me past that initial vulnerability that I was feeling around getting started with the project. And then this law of attraction card, which I know has become a controversial topic. You hear all these people like, oh, law of attraction, blah, 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 and manifest. You know what? It is what it is. The problem, it's like what you focus on expands. What you put out there will come back to you in dividends, especially when it's something really high vibrational. So that's what we're talking about here. If you are practicing, if you're protecting these things that you want, if you're putting yourself in an environment that allows you to do the work you want to do, then you will have the guidance and the energy necessary to keep going with this project. So that's why I'm saying this doesn't have to be a project. It doesn't have to be for work. It can be a family dynamic. It could be something you're wanting to do around the home. Maybe you are wanting to learn to paint or learn something new. These are all things that you must hold as a priority in 2026. So I asked the Sagittarius this. I should be asking all 12 signs. What is this your year? What is the theme for you for 2026? Is this the year you finally start painting? Is this the year you finally start learning yoga? Is this the year you finally start taking monthly little sabbaticals where you go somewhere for a day and enjoy the park and the scenery. Is this the year? This is the year that you ... Fill that in the blanks and let me know in the comments, Aquas, because you're so smart. You're so intelligent. You have so much information to bring to the collective. You got Pluto in your sign for a very long time. We're going to be looking to you guys for ideas as well. So let me know in the comments. I think this is your year to keep going with these dreams, really protect them, and trust that with practice, it's going to be amazing. All right. And as always, last but not ever least, Pisces. Hello, Pisces. For you, your first card for the 2026 overview is King of Fire. Ooh, I'm loving that card. Motivational, idealistic, ambitious, charismatic, beautiful. Body work. Interesting. We're going to be pulling all this together for you guys. 3 of Water. I love that. Was it the Capricorns that got that as well? Inspiration. And relationship. I love that because all of 2025, and even in 2024, when I did your 2025 overview last October, I was getting so much around relationships for Pisces. And this doesn't mean just romantic. This means new friends, new groups of people you're interacting with, your relationship with your spiritual team, your relationship with your intuitive abilities, so many things. So let's get started here for Pisces. With this King of Fire, it's like, you guys are coming into this year just wielding your wands. There is something that you have honed to the point that it's just, nobody can ignore it anymore. However, there is a need for you to focus that energy, right? To really aim it at something. And I do think for some of you, this is around the relationships you want to have in your life, but there's other things that are kind of holding you back. So I have this body work card here. And for some of you, this could be that you're wanting to focus on your health in a new way. Maybe you're going to try a new healing modality. Maybe you're going to try to learn something new about energy healing. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not advice at all. This is just something around your physical body that I feel you're wanting to focus differently. Now, when I have this 3 of Water card here too, which is celebration, community, and friendship, I think it's more about like you're getting out there and joining these communities. You're getting out there and making these friends and doing these things, right? So it's more that it's not as literal. Like I said, I don't read literally usually. It's not as literal as body work, but you're getting a massage and your masseuse tells you about a group down the road that does an activity you've always wanted to try. You go try the group and you make all your new best friends, so that was a stretch, right? but you get where I'm going with this. It's like you have to get your body out of the house and into these environments, and then the sky's the limit with where you can focus your energy. Then we have this inspiration card. And I think what also is going on is it's like, you would benefit from having others that inspire you and that you can inspire others. So it's like you need both. You want to be able to inspire others. You want people to see how incredibly intuitive you are. You're just naturally born so psychic and so intuitive. And others are not, you're wanting others to see that and be inspired by it. They don't always, just like we had with the Let Go card for, who was that? Was it the Capricorns or somebody about letting go of people's response to you? But I think it's the same for Pisces. It's like you can tell them exactly what's going to happen and they say whatever. They don't listen. It happens exactly that way and they still don't give you credit, right? That's okay because this is all part of figuring out what groups of people you want to be part of. So I feel like you're looking for groups where there is that give and take. They inspire you and you inspire them. It's that happy thing where you feel motivated by each other. And the same with this relationship card. I mean, for some of you, it could be that you are getting into a romantic relationship, but for some, it's just that you already know that the people you have in your life, you want to feel that mutual aspiration, that mutual admiration is probably what I should have said there. Admiration. I admire their work ethic. I admire the way they treat their body. I admire the way they talk to the server at dinner. I admire the way they call their parents and are good to their family. And I do the same, and they admire that in me, right? And then the other thing is, the idea of, let's say you do start dating. We're just going to use romantic for now, but this could be with a new friend, with a new group of people, new boss, whatever, where they have something they're really passionate about and you have something you're really passionate about, and they're totally different, but you equally admire that the other one is so focused on that. And this focused energy is there. So it just feels like if there's something you started doing in 2025 that you love, take it to the next level, go bigger. Like if you normally, I guess, this is what I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday. So this is why the example that's popping into my head. But let's say you've been playing pickleball at the court down the street with some neighbors, right? And you've been doing that and it's fun. And now you're like, you know what? I'm getting better at this. I think I'm going to go join a small league, So you go join a little league that's like 15 minutes away, and it's fun and exciting. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, we're going to start a traveling league. We're going to go to all these awesome places, start traveling around the country and playing pickleball. Want to join? And you're like, yes, sign me up, right? And I know that's not going to be for everybody, but it's that you're just like, you're going so much further and focusing so much more on this thing that you love. Okay. And then you're going to see these relationships around you. It's going to be this give and take that's so great for your physical body work, your emotional body, your mental body, and of course, your spiritual body. Because if you remember the beginning, the 5 main themes, we are working on our spiritual growth. We are going to new levels with our intuitive abilities, all of us. All right, so let's jump into our bonus messages here. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. I really, really appreciate it. I know this is a long one. I'm so grateful you all wanted this energy update so early because it gives me something to start with for the year too. I mean, I'm doing it for me too. I listen to these messages, and I'd love to hear in the comments, like, what are your plans for 2026? What are some things you're going to do differently? I love reading and connecting with all of you. So I really appreciate connecting with you that way. And we're going to do your bonus messages here. All right. And don't forget, if you haven't already, you can sign up for my free newsletter at devindoer.com below, and it'll give you my free ebook, Is It a Sign? So we've been talking a lot about how you can, I actually have like several freebies linked below, some spreads, card spreads you can do, a prayer protection. But check out my freebies below. But if you get that book, Is It a Sign? If you're new to this, it can really help you identify the way you use your intuitive abilities. And, that's what we're being asked to do, is just go to the next level with that. All right. So let's do our bonus messages for the 2026 overview so that we can see what we can do right now to set us up for success in 2026. I'm so excited to hear what you all think about the 2026 energy. It sounds like we've got, the right timing and the right group of people to connect. We just got to stick together and support each other through this. All right, I'm switching over to the overhead camera now. All right, for the present energy for the 2026 overview, right now, going into 2026, we have the 7 of Earth: investment, assessment, patience. And what this is talking about is right now, at the time you're hearing these messages, we're being asked to continue to be patient. And I'm telling you, my patience have been tested all year long. I know yours have as well, with many different things. And with all that retrograde energy that we started out with 2025, it's like how much more patient can we be? I mean, life has to move forward at some point, and the truth is it was moving forward. We just couldn't see it. So this is that card of, you've planted the seeds, they're growing, you're starting to see some little buds come out on the plant, but it's not time to harvest yet. So keep going with the things you're focusing on, because life is moving forward. You are going to be bringing in your harvest. But right now and going into 2026, we're asking to please continue to be patient, be cautiously optimistic, and just trust that it may not look like a lot's going on above the surface, but there are things going on beneath or behind the scenes that are bringing in the things we want for 2026. The near future card is the Two of Air. Indecision, avoidance, and confusion. And this is referring to what we were talking about at the beginning of this video with the major 5 themes, which is that essentially there are going to be people who are avoiding things. They're avoiding facing their shadow side. They're avoiding facing the truth of a situation. And when I talked about in the 5 themes, nostalgia, this is how they're going to avoid it. They're going to get lost in nostalgia. So your little heads up here with this near future card is ask yourself, where do I get caught in nostalgia? Where do those around me get caught? What are some little reminders I can set for myself, or little check-ins I can do to make sure I'm not getting stuck in the past, right? And this says, indecision or confusion. Sometimes the confusion and the indecision is because we're trying to make something be like it used to be in the past, and you just can't. Like I said at the beginning, going to a world where there is no AI is not an option. It's out there, right? So getting lost in the confusion of what does this mean for us, and not knowing whether I learn about it or don't learn about it. Do I use it? Do I not? That's just aiding the confusion and all that. So look out for that, and maybe do some things to kind of protect your energy. I really feel like, again, creating that spiritual routine. If you can get a journal starting now, you don't have to wait till the new year. I start my journal at the very end of the journal. So I started this journal in March, spring break March, spring equinox, and I will be finishing it here in October 2025. I have only a few more pages left, so I'm going to get out another copy of my book of evidence, and I'm going to start November in that journal. You can start anytime you want. Just please put it all in one place. Give yourself credit for the signs and symbols you're getting, and then make it a spiritual practice. In 1 minute a day, you can connect with your spiritual team. You can say, spiritual team, angels and guides, whatever you want to call them. I have a personal name for my team that I keep private. What do I need to know right now? That's all you have to do. And then write it down. It could be a single word that comes through. It could be an image. You could pull some angel cards and write those down. You could just sit there and look at your astrology chart and see what sticks out to you. Maybe for some reason you're just interested in the natal placement of your Venus. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to learn about Venus energy. Please do this for yourself. This is going to help you so much with rising above this indecision. And this avoidance card here is, again, avoiding that shadow side of ourselves where we don't want to look. But that's where the most spiritual growth comes from, is by facing that side and doing things to heal it and to acknowledge it. And we're not getting rid of it, but we're understanding it. And that was, I think, the number one big theme for 2026 was spiritual growth, right? And growing our intuitive abilities. So then we have this future card, which, oh my gosh, 10 of Earth. 10 of Earth. This is abundance. This is prosperity, security, tradition. This is so beautiful. Now, what was I saying earlier about tradition and, nostalgia? People can get locked into a tradition when it's time to innovate. With Pluto and Aquarius, it's all about innovation. With Uranus and Gemini, it's all about innovation. So yeah, we can't get so stuck in tradition that we can't innovate, but you can have the tradition of waking up every morning 5 minutes early, grabbing that journal, and asking your spiritual team, what do I need to know? Then come back at the end of the day and write down anything that came through, write down the angel numbers you saw, any synchronicities, write your dreams down. It's going to be beautiful. And you've got the opportunity to really, really feel secure when you're working on your connection with your higher self, your spiritual team, and living that intuitive lifestyle. That's where you're going to get the security from. It comes from a spiritual place. It's actually not the physical world that's providing the security. Yes, you need your home. You need to feel safe in your environment. You need those things. But that's why we find community. And that's why we do things to manifest that lifestyle that helps us feel secure in pursuing our spiritual path. So here are 2 actions to take before we wrap up this very long overview. I thank you guys so much for being here with me. Thank you for liking and sharing this video. It really helps my channel grow. Thank you for commenting. I love reading it. I love hearing about you. So let me know what other videos, what other topics would you like for me to cover? If you missed the beginning, I was asking if you wanted me to do a numerology overview. Please go check out the beginning of this video. If you're tuning in late, it has so much information for 2026. And I love hearing your suggestions for topics for these lives and these videos because, I love to know what you want to do. So that's why I did this video this week, because you guys asked for it. So thanks again. And let's move on to your actions. We have the Queen of Air. Yep. Brilliant, experienced, and humorous. So this is an action card. And this is asking you to get out there and get the experience. Right now, what is something you want to experience? If there's something you want to try, go try it. And humorous, find the humor in the situation. If it doesn't work out the first time, try again, laugh it off. Do your best to find the humor in the situation. I don't remember what sign it was that we were talking about. We were talking about, being willing to embarrass yourself, being willing to be vulnerable. This is something we all need to be willing to do. The only way you're going to get better is to go out there and have that experience. And if it doesn't work out the way you want, learn what you can. Laugh it off and try again. And then the second action card, and I will show the overview here so you can see it all together if you want to take a little screenshot here. 6 of Fire, success, recognition, self-esteem. And paired with this Queen of Air is brilliant. You will succeed if you get out there and you get the experience. Also, take the things you're already experienced out with and put it out there. This is going to build your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your security. Remember those 5 themes we were talking about at the beginning, building your intuition and really trusting in your ability to use your spiritual gifts. Those of you who are already doing it, you're going to get that recognition. Those of you who want to do it but haven't started, start practicing now. And that is really going to build your confidence. It's going to build your security that we all want in the future. We all want to see this for 2026. And I believe you're going to get there. I am so grateful for you all being here. Definitely check out my community. The link's below. Brand new Coffee with Devin once a month where we get to connect. And I'm so honored to share these messages with you. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.